Beloved chosen one, pause for a moment and listen carefully. You did not arrive at this message by accident. This is not coincidence. This is divine alignment. Heaven has slowed everything around you just enough so your spirit could hear what your soul has been aching to confirm. God is proud of who you are becoming, not who you used to be, not the version of you that survived out of fear, people-pleasing, or compromise, but who you are becoming right now, in the unseen, in the quiet obedience, in the slow and sometimes painful transformation. You may not feel victorious. You may still feel tired. There are days when you question if you are actually making progress or just enduring another cycle of resistance. But hear this clearly. Growth is not loud. Becoming is not flashy. Heaven does not measure advancement the way the world does. While others measure success by speed, applause, or visible results, God measures faithfulness in hidden places. And that is exactly where you have been showing up. You didn't quit when walking away would have been easier. You didn't harden your heart even when betrayal tried to teach you bitterness. You didn't become cruel just because the world gave you reasons to. You stayed soft in a hard environment. You stayed honest in systems built on deception. You stayed obedient when obedience cost you comfort. That is not weakness. That is spiritual strength forming. You are not the same person you were a year ago. Your reactions have changed. Your discernment has sharpened. Things that once excited you no longer have power over you. Conversations that used to drain you now expose themselves quickly. You sense when something is off without needing proof. This is not imagination. This is maturity. This is what happens when God begins trusting you with more weight. There were moments you felt delayed, almost forgotten. Seasons where prayers seemed to echo back in silence. But silence was not absence. It was instruction. God was teaching you to walk without constant reassurance, to move without emotional confirmation, to obey without applause. That is how leaders are formed. That is how chosen ones are separated. Do not underestimate what has been happening while no one was clapping. Do not dismiss the tears you cried alone, the nights you wrestled with doubt but still chose faith by morning. Heaven recorded those moments. Angels took note of your restraint, your self-control, your decision not to retaliate, not to prove, not to explain yourself. You are being trained for authority, not attention. You are learning how to carry strength without becoming hardened. You are learning how to stand firm without becoming proud. You are learning how to say no without guilt, and yes without fear. That balance does not come from books or sermons alone. It comes from walking with God through pressure and choosing obedience again and again. And here is the truth. Many don't realize God's pride is not triggered by perfection. It is stirred by perseverance. He is proud because you kept going when you didn't feel spiritual. You kept choosing integrity when shortcuts were available. You kept believing even when evidence was thin. You are becoming someone who can be trusted with influence, with responsibility, with impact. The enemy wanted to stop you early by exhausting you, distracting you, or convincing you that your efforts didn't matter. But look at you now, still standing, still seeking God, still sensitive to His voice, still unwilling to sell your soul for temporary relief. That alone proves something powerful is forming inside you. As the ancient words recorded in Romans chapter 5, verse 4, still echo today, perseverance produces character, and character, hope. That is the process you are in. Perseverance first, then character, then hope that cannot be shaken. God is not rushing you because He is building something that will last. What He is forming in you now will sustain you later when the weight is heavier and the calling is larger. Chosen one. If this message is resonating with your spirit, take a moment to like this message. Share it with someone who needs encouragement. Leave a comment to mark this moment, and subscribe so you stay connected to what God is speaking next. You are not walking this alone. Before this section closes, seal this word with a prophetic act. At the end of this message, comment the number 77 as a sign that you received this confirmation and you are committed to keep going, no matter the pace, no matter the pressure. God is proud of who you're becoming. Keep going. Chosen one. The truth many will never understand is this: what nearly broke you was the very furnace that shaped you. The pain you endured in silence was not wasted. The confusion, the rejection, the long seasons where you felt unseen were not signs of failure, they were signs of formation. God was doing a deep work where applause could not reach and where shortcuts were not allowed. You were forged through hidden struggles. Struggles no one clapped for. Battles no one knew you were fighting. There were days you showed up with a steady face while your inner world felt like it was collapsing. Nights when you lay awake questioning yourself, questioning God, questioning whether obedience was even worth it. Yet somehow, you still got up. You still chose integrity. You still chose restraint. You still chose faith, even when it felt fragile. That is not accidental. That is refinement. Some of the hardest moments you faced came without warning. Sudden losses, abrupt endings, people changing without explanation, doors closing when you were sure they were God ordained. But here is what you are now beginning to see. God was not removing good things to punish you. He was removing what could not follow you into the next version of yourself. There were relationships that would have kept you small, environments that rewarded compromise, attachments that felt safe but quietly drained your calling. God allowed the shaking not because you were weak, but because you were ready. Ready to stand without leaning on crutches that looked like support but acted like limits. You learned endurance the hard way, not the kind that comes from motivation, but the kind that comes from necessity. When quitting felt like relief, but obedience demanded you stay. When bitterness felt justified, but love was still required. When silence felt unbearable, but waiting became your worship. That kind of endurance changes a person at the core. You are no longer easily impressed. You are no longer easily manipulated. You no longer confuse loud confidence with true authority. Discernment has replaced naivety. Wisdom has replaced impulsiveness. You pause now. You pray now. You listen more than you speak. These are not personality changes. These are signs of someone who has survived pressure without losing their soul. There were moments you felt like God was distant. But distance was never the goal. Depth was. God was teaching you how to trust His character without constantly needing His reassurance, teaching you how to obey without understanding every detail, teaching you how to walk by faith when feelings offered no confirmation. That is not punishment. That is preparation. The struggles you endured stripped away illusions, illusions about people, illusions about yourself, illusions about how quickly purpose unfolds. And while the stripping was painful, it left something pure behind, a quieter strength, a steadier spirit, a deeper dependence on God rather than outcomes. Scripture says in the first letter of Peter, chapter 1, verse 7, "These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold." You were being purified, not destroyed. Fire does not eliminate gold, it reveals it. And what has been revealed in you is resilience, humility, and a faith that no longer collapses under pressure. You have learned that God is faithful even when life is not predictable. Notice how you respond differently now. What once triggered panic now invites prayer. What once demanded explanation now receives peace. What once felt like rejection now feels like redirection. This is evidence of growth you could not have achieved any other way. You were forged in places where no one could save you except God. And because of that, your confidence no longer rests in people, systems, or outcomes. It rests in Him. That is why your presence carries weight now. That is why your words land differently. That is why your silence speaks louder than your arguments ever did. Do not resent the hidden struggle. One day you will recognize it as sacred ground. The place where God taught you who you really are when everything else was stripped away. The place where you stopped surviving and started becoming. You are not behind. You are not damaged. You are not weak. You are forged. What you carry now was earned in the dark, not given in the light. That is why it cannot be stolen, rushed, or reversed. It was forged into you permanently. The strength forming inside you will soon be required by others. When that moment comes, you will understand why God allowed nothing less than fire to prepare you. The story begins with Joseph, a young man separated from his family, not because he was wrong, but because God was right about his future. Joseph was not removed for punishment. He was removed for protection and preparation. Betrayed by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and carried far from everything familiar. Joseph entered isolation long before he ever stepped into purpose. At the moment of separation, Joseph had no context. He had dreams but no roadmap. Promises but no explanation. What he felt was loss. What heaven saw was alignment. Had Joseph remained in the comfort of his father's house, he would have been destroyed by what he was not yet ready to carry. Favor without formation is dangerous. Dreams without discipline collapse. Chosen one, this is where your story mirrors His. There were people God allowed to walk away from you. Places you were forced to leave. Seasons where your circle shrank without warning. You wondered why connection turned cold, why support faded, why familiarity disappeared. But separation was never about rejection. It was about protection. God was removing you from environments that could not sustain the version of you He was forming. Joseph learned integrity in isolation, in Potiphar's house, with no family to defend him and no reputation to protect. He chose righteousness when compromise would have been easier. Later, in prison, falsely accused and forgotten, he learned patience without bitterness. These lessons could not be learned in comfort. They required distance, pressure, and silence. Isolation exposes what applause hides. You were placed in seasons where no one checked on you, no one affirmed you, no one understood you. And yet, something happened inside you. You became more discerning, less reactive, more grounded. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped chasing validation. You began listening more closely for God's voice rather than people's approval. That did not happen by accident. God separates before He elevates. He removes before He restores. He isolates before He entrusts. Because leadership requires inner order before external authority, Joseph had to be shaped before he could be positioned. And so do you. Scripture reminds us in the book of Genesis, chapter 50, verse 20. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. That sentence holds the mystery of separation. What others meant to break you, God repurposed to build you. What felt like abandonment became alignment. What looked like delay became development. There are versions of you that could not go forward. old habits, old emotional dependencies, old relationships that would have compromised future decisions. God did not remove them to hurt you. He removed them because they would have hurt you later. Separation was mercy disguised as loss. You are learning how to stand without leaning, how to hear God without noise, how to obey without reassurance. These are not beginner lessons. These are preparation lessons for responsibility, influence, and weight. Joseph did not come out of isolation bitter. He came out wise. He did not seek revenge. He released forgiveness. He did not cling to the past. He stewarded the future. That is the evidence of true preparation. And now, something important is happening inside you. You are beginning to understand that solitude did not diminish you. It refined you. Silence did not weaken you, it clarified you. Distance did not empty you. It protected what God placed inside you. At this point, respond with alignment, not emotion. Comment this short phrase, I accept separation. This is not about choosing loneliness. This is about agreeing with God's process. It is an acknowledgement that what you lost was not meant to follow you, that what ended was not meant to continue, that God knew exactly what He was doing when He narrowed your path. Joseph's separation positioned him to save many. Yours is doing the same. What God is preparing through you will require clarity, strength, and character that only separation could produce. You were not pushed away. You were pulled aside. And what comes next will make that clear. When you say, I accept separation, you are not agreeing with loss, you are agreeing with wisdom. You are declaring that God's removals were intentional, not accidental. You are acknowledging that distance was allowed to protect your calling, to silence distractions, and to keep your spirit from being shaped by hands that could not steward your future. By writing, I accept separation, you are choosing alignment over attachment. You are releasing the need to drag familiar people into unfamiliar purpose. You are trusting that what God disconnected was never meant to define your destination. This statement marks maturity because only the prepared can accept pruning without resentment. Chosen one. There comes a moment in your walk where God begins to shift your internal language. It is subtle, but powerful. You stop asking, why wasn't I rewarded? And you begin asking, who witnessed it? This shift changes everything. It moves you from disappointment to discernment, from frustration to faith, from craving validation to recognizing divine observation. In everyday life, this question shows up quietly. You did the right thing at work, but no one noticed. You stayed honest while others cut corners and advanced faster. You showed loyalty, but were replaced. You kept your word, but someone else received the praise. In those moments, the natural response is to feel overlooked, but the spiritual response is to pause and ask who witnessed this. Because not every reward is immediate, and not every witness is human. Here are practical ways to live out this shift, not in theory, but in daily life. First, when you do something good and no one acknowledges it, resist the urge to announce it. Silence is not weakness here, it is discipline. Let your restraint become your offering. Every time you choose not to self-promote, you are training your spirit to trust God's timing instead of forcing recognition. Second, when you feel tempted to compare your progress with others, redirect the comparison inward. Ask yourself, am I more disciplined than I was before? Am I more patient, more honest? More discerning? Growth that is invisible to others is often the kind that lasts the longest. Third, begin treating unseen obedience as sacred. That means how you speak when no one is around, how you respond when you could easily retaliate, how you choose integrity when it costs you convenience. These moments feel small, but they carry weight. Heaven does not overlook what the world ignores. Fourth, reframe delays as deposits. What feels like a lack of reward may actually be God storing something for later. In real life, this looks like continuing to show up on time even when no one thanks you. Continuing to do your work with excellence even when promotion feels distant. Continuing to love well even when appreciation is absent. You are not wasting effort, you are building trust with God. Fifth, stop explaining yourself to people who are not assigned to understand you. Over-explaining is often a symptom of seeking witnesses in the wrong places. Not everyone needs the context. Not everyone gets access. Some obedience is meant to be seen by God alone. Sixth, learn to mark moments privately. After a hard decision, a quiet sacrifice, or a restrained reaction, take a moment with God and acknowledge it. Say, "You saw that." This builds intimacy. It trains your heart to recognize God as the primary witness, not the crowd. Scripture speaks clearly in the letter to the Hebrews. Chapter 6, verse 10. God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him. That means nothing righteous is ever lost. It may be delayed, it may be hidden, but it is never erased. God's memory is perfect, and his timing is precise. In practical terms, this mindset protects you from burnout. When you stop needing constant reward, you gain endurance. When you stop depending on applause, you gain clarity. When you stop chasing validation, you gain authority. People who are constantly rewarded too early often collapse later. Those who are witnessed quietly are sustained long-term. This shift also changes how you handle disappointment. Instead of spiraling into resentment, you become reflective. Instead of quitting, you become anchored. You understand that some seasons are not about harvest, but about record-keeping in heaven. And here is the deeper truth: God often withholds visible reward to protect your heart. Immediate praise can inflate ego. Delayed recognition builds character. When the reward finally comes, it will not own you. You will steward it. So the next time you feel overlooked, pause, breathe, and ask the better question: who witnessed it? Because if God saw it, it is already secured. At this point, I want you to seal this shift in mindset. Comment the number 318 as a sign that you are moving from needing recognition to trusting divine witness. This number is not about superstition, it is about agreement. Agreement with process. Agreement with timing. Agreement with growth that does not need to be loud to be real. You are being witnessed. You are being recorded. And when the time is right, what was seen in secret will speak loudly enough. Chosen one. There is a quiet but radical shift. God is inviting you into a shift that changes how you interpret effort, sacrifice, and delay. It is the movement from asking, "Why wasn't I rewarded?" to asking, "Who witnessed it?" This is not positive thinking. This is spiritual maturity applied to real life. Everyday situations are where this lesson becomes practical. You show up early and stay late, yet someone else gets the recognition. You choose honesty and lose an opportunity others gained through compromise. You remain loyal, but are treated as replaceable. In these moments, disappointment tries to speak first. But wisdom interrupts and asks a deeper question: who was watching when I chose what was right? Because not all witnesses wear human faces. Start with how you handle unseen effort. When you complete a task thoroughly and no one comments, do not rush to feel invisible. Instead, train yourself to pause internally and acknowledge that God was present in that moment. This practice slowly rewires your need for external validation. It turns frustration into confidence. In relationships, this shift is just as practical. You forgive without receiving an apology. You choose peace instead of winning an argument. You hold your tongue when you could expose someone. These are not losses. These are deposits. Each act of restraint is a mark of authority forming inside you. At work or in daily responsibilities, resist the urge to compete for attention. Do not lower your integrity to match someone else's pace or methods. Quiet consistency builds a reputation that eventually speaks for itself. More importantly, it builds a character that does not collapse when recognition finally arrives. Scripture reminds us in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 4. Your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. Notice the order. First, he sees. Then, he rewards. The delay is not denial, it is design. God often waits because the reward must meet the version of you that can carry it without being destroyed by it. Here is a practical discipline after moments of obedience that cost you something. Acknowledge them privately with God. No announcement, no explanation, just awareness. Say, "You saw that." Over time, this builds an unshakable sense of being known. And when you feel known by God, the need to be known by people diminishes. This mindset also protects you from bitterness. Bitterness grows when effort feels wasted. But when you believe your actions are witnessed, nothing feels wasted. Even losses become lessons. Even delays become preparation. Another daily practice is to stop rehearsing what you didn't receive and start recording what you learned. Ask yourself what strength was developed, what discernment was sharpened, what attachment was loosened. Rewards do not always arrive as promotions or praise. Sometimes they arrive as wisdom that saves you later. Understand this: God does not always reward immediately because immediate reward can distort motivation. If every good act was instantly praised, obedience would become transactional. God is forming something deeper in you: faithfulness without bargaining. The people who change the world are rarely the ones who were constantly celebrated early. They are the ones who learn to trust unseen accounting. They moved when God said move, stopped when God said stop, and stayed when quitting looked justified. When the reward eventually appears, and it will not surprise God. It will feel timely, not rushed. And you will recognize it not as luck, but as fulfillment. So the next time disappointment tries to settle in, interrupt it with the right question. Not why wasn't I rewarded, but who witnessed it, because the right witness changes everything. Now seal this commitment in a simple way. Comment the number 514 as a sign that you choose trust over recognition and faith over frustration. This is your declaration that you are no longer driven by who claps, but anchored in who sees. You are not unseen. You are not forgotten. You are being witnessed, and that is enough. The number 514 represents a sequence of growth. 5 speaks of change and transition. You are no longer operating by old motivations. 1 reflects alignment and focus, choosing God's perspective over human approval. 4 signifies foundation, the quiet building of discipline, consistency, and character that will hold what is coming. When you write 514, you are declaring that you accept the process in the correct order. Change first, alignment next, foundation last. You are agreeing to let God reshape how you measure success, anchor your identity in His witness, and build something stable that does not depend on applause or immediate reward. Chosen one. There comes a stage in your journey where strength begins to rise quietly. Not the kind that announces itself, not the kind that demands recognition, but the kind that settles deep into your spirit and changes how you stand in the world. This is the strength that forms when you have learned how to move without applause, how to remain faithful without feedback, how to carry responsibility without needing to be seen. You no longer react the way you used to. Situations that once provoked anxiety now meet steadiness. Conversations that once pulled you into conflict now pass without hooking you. This is not indifference. This is authority. Authority does not argue for attention. It occupies space calmly and lets truth speak for itself. You have discovered that not every battle deserves your voice. Silence, when chosen with discernment, has become one of your greatest tools. You have learned that energy is currency, and you no longer spend it trying to convince people who are committed to misunderstanding you. This restraint is not weakness, it is evidence of maturity. Strength without applause is different from strength built on validation. Applause-based strength collapses when the noise stops. Quiet strength remains when no one is watching. That is the kind of strength forming in you now. It is rooted, not reactive. It is grounded, not defensive. There were seasons when you wished someone would acknowledge how much you were carrying, times when you felt unseen, unappreciated, and stretched thin. Yet those were the exact moments when your inner framework was being reinforced. You learned how to self-regulate, how to process disappointment without self-destructing, how to stay disciplined when motivation faded. As the Apostle Paul wrote in the letter to the Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 5. Therefore judge nothing before the appointed time. Wait until the Lord comes. He will bring to light what is hidden in darkness and will expose the motives of the heart. This is why you can remain steady now. You trust that what is hidden will be revealed at the right time. You are no longer in a hurry to be understood. You are content to be formed. This patience is not passive, it is powerful. You are becoming comfortable with being underestimated, comfortable with letting results speak later, comfortable with knowing that some victories are meant to remain private until the right time. This comfort does not come from arrogance. It comes from security. You know who you are becoming, even if others do not yet see it. There is also a new level of compassion forming in you. Because you have endured without applause, you recognize quiet strength in others. You no longer dismiss people who are silent or overlooked. You see depth where others see absence. This sensitivity is not softness, it is discernment sharpened by experience. You have also learned how to hold responsibility without complaining. You do what needs to be done because it is right, not because it will be noticed. This is the mindset of someone who can be trusted with more. God entrusts weight to those who do not need constant affirmation to carry it. At this stage, your presence itself has begun to shift. You speak less, but when you do, it lands. You move with intention rather than impulse. You are not driven by urgency, but by clarity. This is what happens when identity stabilizes. You are no longer proving, you are preparing. You may not yet see the visible outcome of this strength, but it is already shaping your future interactions, decisions, and opportunities. When the moment comes that requires leadership, your response will not be rushed or insecure. It will be measured, confident, and grounded. This season is not about being seen, it is about being ready. And readiness often looks quiet from the outside. You are not missing your moment. You are becoming someone who will not waste it. Chosen one. You have arrived at a threshold not because you rushed, but because you endured. Everything you have walked through has been quietly arranging this moment. The resistance, the waiting, the pruning, the silence, all of it has been shaping your capacity to carry what is coming next. This is not the end of the journey. It is the confirmation that you are strong enough to continue. There is a crown forming, but it is not made of speed or applause. It is shaped by persistence. You were never meant to outrun others, you were meant to outlast pressure. And now, something inside you knows this truth deeply. You no longer panic when things move slowly. You no longer measure yourself against timelines that were never assigned to you. You understand that becoming is more important than arriving. You have learned to walk without noise, to obey without reassurance, to trust without guarantees. That kind of faith changes how you stand when the world shakes. It gives you weight, it gives you presence, it gives you a steadiness that cannot be borrowed or faked. There were moments you wanted to stop, moments when quitting would have felt like relief. But something stronger than comfort kept you moving. That strength was not self-generated. It was planted. God placed endurance inside you because He knew the road ahead would require it. And now, you are seeing why you couldn't give up earlier, because the version of you that exists now could only be born through continuation. What you are stepping into does not require proving. It requires positioning. You do not need to convince anyone of your worth. You only need to remain aligned with your calling. The doors that open next will recognize you without introduction. The rooms you enter will respond to who you have become, not who you claim to be. This is why keeping going matters. Not for validation, not for recognition, but because your obedience has been shaping outcomes you cannot yet see. People you will impact, decisions you will influence, paths that will shift because you chose not to stop when it was hard. And here is the beauty of it: you are not being dragged forward. You are choosing to walk. Every step now is voluntary, intentional, and sacred. You are no longer surviving, you are stewarding your journey. If this message feels like a hand on your shoulder rather than a push at your back, honor that feeling. When something resonates this deeply, it is often an invitation, not a command, an invitation to stay connected to what strengthens you, an invitation to walk alongside others who understand this path, an invitation to keep your heart open to words that remind you who you are when the world tries to make you forget. So if it feels right, let your support become a quiet echo. Let a gentle light be your nod of agreement. If someone else is walking this road silently, let sharing be the way you pass them a lantern. If you want to remain near messages that steady rather than rush you, let subscribing be like choosing to sit by the same fire again. And if your spirit feels seen, let your comment be a footprint proof that you were here, present and willing. These are not obligations, they are expressions. Small acts that mirror the way you've learned to move intentionally, thoughtfully, without force. You are crowned not because you finished first, but because you refused to quit. And that crown is not something you wear, it is something you live from. Others will sense it in how you speak, how you listen, how you stand when things are uncertain. Keep going, not because you are chasing something, but because you are becoming someone. What lies ahead will make sense of everything behind you. And when you look back one day, you will realize persistence was never just your strength. It was your calling. You will move forward with a calm certainty, no longer driven by urgency but guided by purpose. Each step will feel lighter, not because the road is easier, but because you trust the direction. What once felt heavy now feels meaningful, and meaning gives strength that does not fade under pressure. And when doubt whispers again, you will remember this moment. You will remember that you chose endurance over escape, growth over comfort, becoming over quitting. That memory will steady you. It will remind you that you are still walking not because you must, but because you are ready. You do not need to decide anything right now. Let this moment breathe. Let the words settle where they belong. Some messages are not meant to be carried forward in full. They are meant to leave behind a single line, a single truth, A single quiet realization that stays with you long after everything else fades. If something here strengthened you, you will know what to do with it. You may pass it along naturally, the same way light passes through a window without effort. Not to convince, not to persuade, only to offer. And if nothing felt meant to be shared, that is just as meaningful. Some things are meant to be kept, held close, revisited privately when the world grows loud again. You are not required to respond outwardly for this to matter inwardly. Growth does not always announce itself. Sometimes it simply continues. What matters most is not what you do next, but what you carry forward. Perhaps it is the reminder that you are not behind. Perhaps it is the permission to move at your own pace. Perhaps it is the quiet confidence that your unseen faithfulness was never wasted. Whatever touched you even lightly is enough. You are allowed to take only what resonates and leave the rest behind. Wisdom does not demand agreement. It invites reflection. And reflection has a way of unfolding slowly, revealing meaning over time rather than all at once. So as you step back into your day, carry this gently. No pressure, no urgency, just awareness. Let what matters rise when it needs to. Let what doesn't fall away without resistance. The path ahead does not require a declaration. It only requires honesty with yourself, with God, with the season you are in. And whether this message stays with you for minutes or for years, know this: your journey is still unfolding, and you are allowed to walk it thoughtfully, quietly, and in your own time. That is enough for now.